Now, Jerry, I always get after Jerry because I call him, he's not traffic. You know, it's a kind of a Zen thing where when you're in traffic, the feeling is everybody else is traffic. You're just the innocent person trying to get where you need to go. You are not part of the problem. And Zen sort of says, that sort of Zen mindfulness says, rethink that. So it's so we have our little code word of, yeah, you're not traffic, you know, like everybody else is the problem, not me. Not traffic. Did we lock the door? Thank you. And so I love that Jill always looks at that. All right. And that makes me less responsible sometimes. All right. So Jill said, be careful with the stretchy bands because somebody got their eye snapped out with it. So I'm just saying. As Sherry pointed out, those were not her exact words, but that's the story I'm sticking to. Anyway, yes, be mindful. So today, because we'll do another kind of, I call it my Mary practice. So Mary has practices a lot. She does a lot more than I'll do today. Just I noticed that with the last eye surgery being fairly new, that if I get too much pressure, I can feel some pressure build up if I'm exerting too much and that stuff. So you guys feel free if you want to kick in a vinyasa in between any of this, just rock at it. But we'll work deep today and working with the stretchy bands. So we get a plenty good workout, but it will be a little bit different. And I was thinking about the word surrender kept coming up for me as I was planning the class and thinking about the class. And even though they are actual synonyms in the dictionary, surrender, I think of surrender and giving up as two different things. So giving up is like when someone has their foot on your neck, it's like you give up, you know, it's like, I don't have any other choice. But I'm not letting go. Like now I have a grudge. Now there's a sense of holding on. Surrender for me is that, is there a song or something? I always put Sweet Surrender, or there's some, Jill knows the song, right? And the band is? No, she'll call it out shortly, but something about sweet surrender. And I just love the combination of those two words of sweet surrender. Surrender is when we just soften around what is. And it's not walking away saying, I give up, but it's like, all right, here's what is, I'm going to soften around it. And it's the thing, whenever there's a physical limitation, I was talking with my daughter yesterday, and she plays a lot of tennis and she loves it. And she's a really good athlete. And she just loves this league that she plays in. Well, she's developed tennis elbow. And so it's about, you have to surrender around that. You have no choice. So when something physical happens, you have to surrender around it, but it doesn't mean I give up. I'm not going to play anymore. I quit. But now she's found a physical therapist who was a professional tennis player and really says, a good tennis player never gets tennis elbow. Let me teach you how to do this. So that's the kind of surrendering I'm talking about, of surrendering for the next level, for the, like, how can this teach me? And with the eyes, it's just been really fascinating, besides being able to irritate Jerry going, oh my God, now I can't do that anymore. But it just taught me this month to have to really rethink my practice. And we have to do that over and over again in our lives, because things happen to us. We get injured, we get older, we have things happen to us. So all of you, I just love that you've all done that in some level, because, you know, Mary with her retinal issues, and she's completely helped me design, or I've been watching her when she was in class and learning how to adapt for those needs. Eileen and Jill have some knee issues, and so I've learned a lot about that. Jerry just has issues, so we learned about that. Okay. But we've all had to adapt in some way to adapt for ourselves. And for me, that's what I think of in sweet surrender. So it's that first principle of opening, of just saying, all right, here I am. And if you just sit and take a nice full deep breath and release, there's just a sense of tingling that comes over me. It's like, ah, All right, so it's that surrender, sweet surrender, a softness, but not a giving up. If we gave up, we would be flat on our backs and not using any muscle engagement, but using enough to sit well. Closing the eyes if you haven't already, and connecting with your breath. And there are times when that's the place we go to surrender first, to find the sweetness, to come back to the breath. When things get really crazy, you watch medical professionals, emergency. I know Mary's been in her young and crazy days was were a first responder in like ambulances and things. And you watch these people and they see things happen and they seem to move quickly, but they take a breath and they almost move in slow motion, but very efficiently because they gather everything up. And that's how we deal with the craziness today as things get really too much. Take a breath and slow it down. I know when Jerry and I dance tango and we're moving to a little faster beat, if we get excited and rush, we don't enjoy it. It's almost like the faster the beat, we just slow down. And that seems counterintuitive, and yet it works. Draw your palms together in front of your heart center. Nice deep cleansing breath. Inhale to Om. On your next exhale, release your hands and flutter your eyes open. So we'll do, did I call it round the world, Mary? I can't remember, but you called it round the world. Now I'm going to do that. But at any rate, with the stretchy band, makes it really nice. Wherever you're sitting, however you want to sit upright on enough things. The legs can do whatever they need to, as long as the spine is long. So think about moving so sitting helps us realize we really can't move the hips much. So just from the ribs up, you're moving here. It's like some of those disjointed dolls where you're just moving from the ribs. So start small, just tilt, come around, you pull the ribs up and in, keep them up and then pull the band behind you, like, oh, you're pulling it all the way behind. And then around, just from the rib cage up, not from the hip. The hips have to move a tiny bit, but you're stabilizing them as best you can. Oh, I'm liking this. It's one of my new favorite moves. And then the next time you're forward, reverse it. Again, keep the hips drawn down and back. Hips, ribs. It's another 3-4-letter word. Pull it right in, just thinking about moving from the rib cage. Oh. And the next time you come through center, pause. Take this, feels good, huh? Take the straps behind you. It is hard, isn't it? It's a dissociation. And we get told that all the time in tango, is that you have to dissociate the upper body from the lower body. And the more we can do that, and the hips do move a little bit. It's impossible not to, but I'm not like really moving from the hips. Sometimes we do this circle from like right at the base of the spine, if you do that, but this is more this way. Caroline could explain it, belly dancing, from the belly dancing perspective. All right, take the strap behind you. Now, notice that as soon as you pull that, the head wants to come forward. So drop the hands down towards the hips, move the top and bottom of the ears back. At the same time, pull the belly up and in, side ribs move back. Keep that, pull the strap a little bit and lift the strap just enough until you start to see what your natural tendency is here. So do you start to pop the belly forward, pull the ribs in more, lift the strap a tiny bit more, pull the ribs in, pull the belly in, move the top and bottom of the ears back, lift the arms a little bit more. Nice. Looks good here, looks good there. I can actually see the iPad screen without my glasses. It's not this little blur of things. And release. All right, shake off. Let's do the table with blocks. Again, any of these adaptations, I like them. In the museum field, I'm telling the museum people all the time that universal design is good design, and universal design is like what helps people with special needs, physical needs, and processing needs, reading needs, that kind of thing. So good design works for all of us. So just to shift things up a little bit, with the hands on the block, the thumbs can be down the block this way. That way you can connect with the whole circumference of the palm. And then begin some cat-cow here, tucking the tailbone, lifting the waistline, bow the head. Inhale, lift your sits bones, slide it forward. Continue at your own pace. Back and forth. And then the next time you come through center pause, lift your right knee and cross it behind you, snuggle it in, and come to this doggy need to go pee-pee pose. I just made that up. How funny. Yeah, let's lose that one. Okay, and then begin to make little circles with the hips. And they can become bigger. Noticing what stretches here, what doesn't, what resists, where you can surrender. And stop. Remember which way you made that circle. Take a moment. If you reversed it, that's fine. You just half reverse it on the other one. And then lift the left leg, take it behind the right, knees down, and then make a circle there. And if you can't remember what you did, do half one way and then half the other way, or do one way and play with it. Have fun with it. But just changing things up a little bit, seeing what happens. We get stuck in ruts so easily. And some routines are good, healthy. We need to keep them. And sometimes we need to examine them. Pick it up, pull it out. Walk your knees wide apart, toes together, shift back. And you can do this as puppy if the knees are problematic. Walk your blocks away from you so there's a nice long stretch here. Hands press down on the blocks so the head of the arm bones lift up. Heart softens. The head stays right between the arms. It does not hang down. So it's neutral. You're looking straight down at the floor. The back of the neck is long and the front of the throat is long. It's even. Stretching the head towards the short edge of the mat. And then for the side twist, the right hand comes up and over and on top of the left hand. Push down to lift the head of the arm bones. Now surrender between the shoulder blades, the back of the heart. Soften it, but engage the bottom ribs. So a lot of times we push through the ribs to soften the heart. Do that, and then keep the softness. Pull the bottom ribs up and in. Don't let them hang towards the floor. Breathe out through your right side ribs and send your right sits bone back towards your right heel as you stretch out through the right fingertips. Inhale back to center. Left hand on top of the right. Push down as the head of the arm bones lift. That helps you soften between the shoulder blades, soften the heart. Then pull the bottom ribs in and down towards your hips. Side ribs
lift the ceiling without hardening the back of the heart. You keep that sweet surrender, but you don't lose your strength. Surrender does not mean just collapse. And then stretch the left ribs, sending the left sit bone back towards the left heel a lot. Inhale back to center. Ooh. Come up. And for those of you doing downward facing dog, do dog with or without the blocks. The blocks are kind of nice. They give you a little, you can slide the heel of your hand back to the side. I'm going to do a plank block, a block plank, but you can do down dog from here, with or without the blocks. And then walk your dog. I'm walking the plank. Oh, if only. All right. And then walk your hands back to your toes. Forward bend at the back of your mat. Hands on your hips. Come up halfway. And on your next inhale, press down to rise all the way up. Showing it up and release. All right, strap again. Round the world, and this time, again, just keeping it, we'll add the hips in a minute, but just keeping it here. So you're not bending more than here, but you're bending as much as you can just here. The hips move a tiny bit, but you're thinking about not letting them go. All right, so as you stand, first thing is my bottom ribs pump out. So pull them back and down. All right, now one way, just pull in, pull the ribs in, pull the belly button in, keep that as you reach back behind you. It can be small, can be big, but make it full. Jerry, let out on your strap a bit more. Let out on it, there you go. A lot, just all the way to the end, so that you can get way back behind you there. There you go. Go way farther back. Oh yeah. And then reverse the circle, doing the best you can to just concentrate on the ribs. That it's a sense of bowing forward, we get that, but then keeping the ribs connected as you pull back and release, shake off. All right. Put the loop around the right foot. And this is kind of a multi-hold here. The right hand holds about the middle, the left hand holds the end. Shift your weight into your heels, bend your knees like you're going into chair pose, and then pull the strap apart here. So it's a bend tilt. Here, look, face me. Face, all right, just turn and face me a bit. Lift this arm up. Push this arm out. Bend your knees. Pull the strap behind you. Oh, and tilt. Oh, yeah. Keep bending more into chair pose. And notice that the left hip wants to bum out. So hug the left hip in and then pull in. All right. I know, right? And while we're here, take a wide, face me and take a wide stance. Turn your left toes out. The right foot is parallel with the short edge. With the left hand, the opposite hand. So Jerry, take a wide stance along. You don't have to face me. You can face Jill more. There you go. Wide, wide, wide. Turn your left toes to face the wall all the way, all the way. I can see them. Hug the legs together. I'm giving him such a hard time. Move the hand behind your head. It's kind of like Beach Babe, but my hand, it's the arm that's pushing the head, and push the head into the arm into the head, bend the knee, and then stretch over. This hand's just down by the side. Push straight up, push and back. Don't let the head come forward. Push straight up and back. Push straight up and back. So you're facing forward, not down. There, stack your shoulders on top of each other. Stack your shoulders. That's not tilting. Look, you're doing this, do this. He's saying, I don't know why I came. This lady's traffic. All right, come on up. And release. Change feet. Poor guy. And yet he's a beautiful tango dancer. He is. He's quite lovely. All right, you can still face me if you want to, Jill, or you can face Jerry and you instruct him. All right. Take wide. Turn your right toes out. Oh, wait, sorry, let's stand tall. The left hand takes hold of the middle. The right hand takes to the edge. Sit in chair pose, so you're sitting back. The knees aren't coming forward, sticking the butt way back, and pull the hand behind the head right now, and then stretch it up. Stretch the arm out. Bend your knees more. Sit back. Pull the bottom ribs in. My ribs are coming out like crazy. And stretch. Oh. And without snapping yourself, slowly release. Now take a wide stance. Turn your right toes to face the short edge. The right hand, just pick it up and put it behind your head. And the other arm is just down by the side. Now you're squaring the shoulders to the long edge of the mat. Bend the right knee. Scissor the legs together to find strength, and the tailbone pulls down, engage your core. Tilt over just a bit, not so much that the shoulder comes forward, nice, and then stretch it up and pull it back and stretch it up without catching your hair. That's one of the things there. That's what I worry about, is pulling hair out of my head that catches in the right way. Oh. And release. All right. Loose the strap for a bit. Pick up your blocks. Take a wide stance. Turn your left toes out and step the back foot in a bit more, like walking Egyptian. And the blocks are just in your hands. Bend your front knee, tilt at a diagonal with the blocks back behind you. Now inhale with resistance, like you're pulling the band, and stretch the arms overhead. Changing nothing, just the arms. The legs are strong, the core is strong. Just inhale, the blocks lift. Exhale, the blocks go back. Inhale, exhale. Slowly with resistance, stretching and connecting at the same time. Oh. And once the blocks are down by your side, push back, straighten the front leg, turn the feet to face each other, and change sides. And step the back foot in a bit more to face the left toes, right toes completely. Bend the front knee. So the shoulders and the hips are square to the short edge of your mat. All right, tilt forward, just one long line. So neither broken nor too lifted up. So you're tilting in a slant. Inhale, lift. Imagine you're pulling up heavy buckets of water. And exhale, you're pushing something that's resisting down back behind you as far as it will go. So slowly, with control, keep the low belly pulled up and in, bottom ribs lifted, side ribs lifted, bottom ribs move down towards the hips. Oh. So a truncated practice or an adapted practice does not have to be a super gentle, non-working practice. You can still get a fair bit of work and still take care of yourself. Inhale, release, shake it off. All right, step to the top of your mat. We're ending up on our belly, so I'm just going to crawl there, but you guys can have the strap near you. Step to the top of your mat, rise up. Exhale, bow down, full or half forward bend, and then step back, plank pose. Pause for a minute. So hug it in, hug an imaginary block between your shins, and lift and widen the inner thighs. Oh, tailbone lengthens, belly button lifts up and in, side ribs come, lift up towards the ceiling as the bottom ribs slide towards the hips. Then soften, surrender into the heart space, the back of the heart space. And widen the feet a little bit wider, maybe mat width apart, fairly wide will help. Perch up onto your left fingertips without shifting much. Whew. Then put the left hand down, perch up onto the right fingertips. Breathe. Right hand down, perch up on the left fingertips, or just hover the left hand off the mat without changing as much in the rest of the body. Whew. Place the left hand down and either perch up onto the right fingertips with very little weight on them, or hover the right hand. And release all the way to the floor. Rest your forehead on your hands. Windshield wiper the legs. All right. So for this one, I need a block and your band. So the first one, the block is just there right under the forehead. First of all, to remind me not to drop the head. It helps keep the shoulders lifted. But secondly, you'll use this to make the head maybe lighter on the block. It doesn't have to lift up, but you're engaging the muscles you need to get the head to lift. With your band behind your back, hold it as we did earlier, behind the back. Stretch your legs long out behind you. Click all 10 toenails down on the floor, baby toenails in particular. Hug an imaginary block between your shins and lift an imaginary block between your thighs towards the ceiling, and then widen the inner thighs apart. Tailbone lengthens, belly button lifts, and see if you can pull your bottom ribs down towards your hips. Now shrug your shoulders to lengthen the side body. Lift the head of the arm bones away from the floor. Keep that and lift your arms. You can widen out on the strap if you need to. Your hands do not have to be very close together, but lift the arms and pull. Now engage the legs, engage the core, and then let the head be light. Maybe it lifts a little bit off the block, but let the head be light. Keep lifting. On the inhale, lift the arms higher towards the head, and exhale, maybe soften a tiny bit. Inhale, lift. Exhale, soften. So you're not coming all the way down. You're just letting it pulse. Gentle pulsation. And release. You can cross your hands, rest your head, windshield wiper the legs. All right, the next one is with the hands overhead with your strap. Jerry, you got strap? Where? Donde? Oh, there it is. He's hiding. He's just doing it to hide. So this one is, remember the morning back bend, the cactus pose? The arms will be like this. So you'll have them over your head, just a little over your head. You'll lift the arms first. The head stays down. And then maybe the head lightens up. Yes, you can either use the loop or not, however you want to. All right, so the head's resting on the block. The arms are in cactus position on the floor, elbows on the floor, hands on the floor. Lengthen the legs. Click all 10 toenails down. Hug an imaginary block between the shins. Lift an imaginary block between the upper thighs and widen the inner thighs apart. Tailbone lengthens into that space. Belly button engages. Ribs engage, heart softens. Pull the band and just lift the elbows and the hands evenly. So even if they're a tiny bit off the floor, the head's not lifting yet, Just lift. On the inhale, just lift the arms. On the exhale, tiny lower, not full lower. Just a little pulse there. Oh, I don't know about you, but I feel this in the back body. It's like doing back body sit-ups. Then maybe the head gets lighter. Maybe it never comes off the block, but you're just engaging a few more back muscles to lift, make the head light as you keep lifting your cactus arms. Oh, release. Shake it off. I find that a fair bit of work. Dag nabbit. And then this one is even more intense. If you stretch the arms out in front of you, sort of Superman. How does Superwoman fly? I've not really paid attention. Arms ahead. Again, the legs have to be strong here so the core can be strong. Stretch the legs out, click all 10 toenails down, lift your belly button into the spine, tailbone lengthens, ribs engage, heart softens. So your arms can be in a wide V, they don't have to be straight up. But first pull it apart with the band and lift the arms. The head's not doing anything yet, just resting on the block. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, a little lower, mini lower. Inhale, lift and lower. Now maybe make the head a little lighter as you keep lifting the arms. Whoa. Breathing fully. Don't hold your breath in this. Oh, and then release. You can push back in a child's pose. You can rest your head on the block. Feels kind of nice, knees apart, toes together. Whew. So we don't, because that's hard for me, it's a clue that I don't work my back body that much. Just need to do more. And release. Come to sit. I like a blanket under my hip. We'll do some side hip things. So sometimes it just digs in there. You'd think I'd have enough padding, but no. All right. So lie on your left side. Put the loop around the right foot. And then if the loop's around the right foot, the band is on the left hand, and you're stretching it across with the knees bent. The knees are a little bit forward of the hips here. And the feet are stacked on top of each other. Knees are stacked on top of each other. So we're not pushing the knees back. That's one version of a pose, but this one, again, if you want to put a blanket under the elbow, and sometimes it even feels better if people need a little more lift to be up on a block too. So adjust yourself. Now the stretch across the top of the knee is a lot. You can play a tune on it. So get it tight, and it's right on the outside of the knee as best you can. Feet are flexed. And then inhale, it's clamshell, just the top knee, the foot's down, the top knee opens. And exhale, you resist it down. It'll pop down, but you're resisting it down. Inhale, open. You can hold the band with both hands if you want to, or the other hand can be on your side. Inhale, open, and close. With resistance. So closing is easier, so make the closing harder. Like say, no, 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 no. Give it until it shakes a little bit. That's when you've reached a maximum point there. The muscles are really working. Working the inner thighs. We like those inner thighs to be firm. All right. Now this one, if you take a block, you've got to move your bottom knee back. So the top knee, the right knee, is on the block. It's kind of free and clear of the other leg. Just move the other leg out of the way as best you can. And then you're doing it. So if we were doing an outer rotation here, right, with the thigh is outer rotating, this one's going to be an inner rotation. So while it looks like the foot's coming up, you're thinking more about inner rotating the thigh bone. The inner knee stays on the block. That gives you some room to lift, and you create enough resistance with the band. It's not huge, but this is an interesting move that we do very often to try to strengthen that. It helps with the knees as well as with the hips. And then release. Oh, change sides. Flip it all around.
I felt it on the ribs on the lower side.
Good. Yeah. Mary is saying she felt it on her lower, the bottom ribs, the ribs closest to the floor on that side. All right. So first one is knees stacked. The band's on top of the left, outside of the left knee. And then you pull it as tight as you can without hurting your hands. Find some way to engage that. Actually, that works without having to have me curl up. Now, clamshell. So the inner edges of the feet stay together. And you're pushing open. And think more about this outer rotation of the thigh. Yes, the knee lifts. It has to do that. But think about doing it from the hip socket. Head, neck, neutral. So notice if you're throwing the head forward, if you're rounding the upper back, so you're keeping some integrity in the alignment of the upper torso. The core is still working. Ooh, I feel this in the glutes on this side more faster. Side 2, I always feel it faster. You do some slow resistance. Don't give in to the strap as you come down. Clamshell. Just enjoy working that part of the body. I like to notice when that sort of realization of, oh, I don't do this enough. It's a good feeling for me that I've touched something that I haven't touched in a while. All right, and release. So slide the bottom leg out of the way. The top knee, inner knee, rests somewhere on the block. You give some tension to the strap. And then inner rotate. So while the leg comes up, I could just lift the leg and not really feel it in the hip. Think about inner rotating from the hip, and that moves down. That's what moves the foot. So if you just keep the leg where it is and you're rotating the thigh in and then out again, the foot has to come up. It's not the mover, it's from the hip socket. Yeah, I feel the stretch on my side, Mary, on this side a lot. This is my tighter side. And release. I'll just sit up. So sit cross-legged. A block, either as any height that you want. And sit Sukhasana. So that's where you're crossing, the ankles come under the knees. The thigh bones come a little closer together than normal. And if this hurts on the bottom of the feet, that's what blankets are for, if you're feeling. And notice, notice which leg is forward. In fact, let's everybody do the right leg forward. Right leg forward, block on the left side. So I'll reverse it. Right leg forward, block on the left side. And then put the band around your hand and come to rest like an armchair rest here.
on the block, forearm on the block, left forearm on the block. Now, if you need to, you can turn it up, right? So you figure out where's the right one. If you're collapsing and you're way down, it's better to be up a bit. So you can play with it. And then, so the down hand, the down hand, pulls it up. And then come up and pull up and over. Work the outer right hip down. Push the band into the back of the head into the band. So you move back. And you decide how much you choke up on the strap. Pull back, roll the upper body back. Oh yeah, there we go. Nice. And then without snapping your head off, come up, cross to the other side. The left is in front. Then the loop goes around your right hand. Or you can do it on the other hand. It really doesn't matter. Just hold on to one end and come onto this side. Now this side may be different. And notice too, if you lean over and the opposite hip comes too far off, then raise your block up a little bit. It comes up a tiny bit, but you don't want it to clear the floor. All right, take hold and take it behind the head, behind the shoulders, and reach up. So it's about opening the back. Pull it behind both shoulders as best you can. And there you go. And open, nice. Now, outer left hip crease moves down to the floor for bigger stretch. And inhale, release. Have the feet in a diamond, a wide diamond, so the feet are far away from the hips, open, as far away as you want them, as far away as is comfortable. And then some of you may be able to come down, or you might need a block or two. Hold them so they don't fall apart. 1 block, 2 blocks. And lengthen the spine here. Tailbone lengthens towards the floor behind you. Sits bones are heavy into the earth, and the side ribs lengthen as the heart softens. So it's not about hardening the back of the heart, about softening the back of the heart, surrendering into it. Deep stretch. And inhale your way up. Come to lie on your back. Keep your strap and your blocks nearby. Dag-nabbit. And roll all the way onto your back. And that's just there, that release, that sweet surrender on the floor. After, it's a slow practice, but worked pretty deep. I did anyway. So rolling onto my back feels quite sweet, quite lovely. Then take your block, because no good deed goes unpunished. With the low back, now you can go fully on the floor, or you can create the T. I forgot to do that, which is kind of nice. It keeps the head a little bit lifted. But also what I like about the blanket here, it supports the low back. So 2 blankets are folded narrow. So not just the head gets lifted, but the whole torso has a gentle incline up. All right, so 1 is here. And this edge is where this will kind of hit your back waist right here. And then you support yourself there. So this little edge right here kind of supports me in the back waist. You have to nuzzle back and forth here to see. Where did I lose my block? All right, have your block near you, knees bent. Now here you come into anatomical neutral pretty easily because the blanket keeps the back waist lifted. Be aware of the pressure. If you're using the blanket behind you, don't press into the blanket anymore. If you're not using the blanket, imagine there's enough space
behind your back waist to slide a pencil from one side to the other without getting stuck. So just enough. Then with the knees bent, pull the right knee in, and the block's on the top of the right thigh, the left elbow on the block, the right hand behind the head, half beach babe. Yeah, cross elbow, opposite elbow, there you go. And then the right hand behind your head. There you go. The head can come down for now. All right. Now push the block into the hand, the block into the elbow, and the knee, the leg and the elbow push into the block. Here we have it. All right. Pull the belly button up into the spine. Notice if you press the back waist harder into the blanket or the floor, try to lift it and keep that. This is not a neck exercise, it's a deep core exercise. Maybe the head lightens up, maybe it stays down, but you can also try, if it doesn't hurt the back, stretching the left leg straight, hovering it off the floor. Then maybe the heart lifts, the head is resting in your hand, the head comes off the floor, but the heart lifts a bit. And breathe here. And release. Oh, that's weird, huh? Yeah. The slow core, I just find I don't strain, I don't hurt as much. All right, other side. So top of the left knee, top of the left thigh rather. Right elbow. So it's getting at some of the obliques. Half beach babe with the left hand under the back of the head. And then you can hold here and notice as soon as you lift the left knee up, the back waist starts to get heavy into the floor towards the blanket. So lift the back waist. It won't come away from the blanket, but lift it, get it lighter on the blanket. Push into the block with the leg and the elbow. Push. And you can just keep the right knee bent and on the floor. Keep the back waist. Notice as soon as you start to lift your head, the back waist will collapse towards the floor. Keep it right where it was. And maybe the heart lifts, maybe the head comes off the floor, as long as you're not straining the neck muscles. Shouldn't feel it in the neck muscles at all. Stretch the right leg long if you wish and hover it off the floor. These are all just little variations. Oh. And notice if there's a tendency, in my case, for the ribs to pop out. Pull them back and down. Back waist still light on the blanket. And release. Woo, windshield wiper the legs. All right, same leg, same arm. Straighten the leg, or it can stay bent. If straightening it's an option, put the block on the shin so the right leg lifts, the right hand's on the block. Or you can bend if that's not accessible to your hamstrings, you can do same leg, same hand, bending the right knee. Otherwise straight. Half beach babe with the left arm. Now notice here, as soon as you try to straighten the leg, particularly on the right side, the back waist gets heavy on the blanket. So see if you can engage that and lift, get it lighter, so it's even with the left side. Otherwise, we tend to rock. So lift it, engage it. Push the leg into the leg and the hand into the block. You can lift the heart here, and again, the back waist will come down a bit, but try to keep it engaged. Belly button drops towards the spine. The left leg hovers straight along the floor. All of these are options. If you're feeling this in the neck, then you've lost the core, so put the head down and work deeper. Oh. And release. Yeah, feel the same way. Just had the car goes. All right, straighten the left leg. Again, if you're not straightening the left leg, the block's on the top of the thigh and that same hand, same leg. Push it in, half beach babe with the right arm. Push the leg and the hand into the block. And then lift your back waist. And notice the left side now is heavier, so get it lighter to be more like the right side back waist. Push. Oh. Maybe the heart lifts. The head may get light and just hover over the blanket, but the head's resting into the hands. And then the right leg straightens. Ooh. Breathe. Do not sneeze in this position. And release. Ah. And windshield wiper. With both knees bent, feet on the floor, butterfly, open the right knee out to the side and slide the right foot under the left leg. So the left leg is bent, but slide it under. So the right knee starts to point down towards the short edge of the mat. How close your right foot is to your left bum depends on your right knee joint. So if it's uncomfortable to pull the right heel close to the left bum, you open that angle a bit. Otherwise, if it's comfortable, you can even hold on to the right foot with your left hand. And stretch from the core of the pelvis out through the thigh bone. And the outer right knee is yearning for the floor without popping your ribs out. And then variation 1 is to place the hands, lift the left knee up towards the chest, the hands on the top of the shin, and keep stretching out through. You'll notice as soon as you lift the left knee up, the right knee starts to pop up. So keep stretching the right knee towards the short edge of the mat and the outer right knee towards the floor. Keep that and push the left shin up into the hands, and the hands pull down, the head of the arm bones move towards the floor. Gives you a little bit of a low back curve there, just nice. And then variation 2, the arms in a T position, the sole of the left foot rests on the inner right thigh, inner right knee, and let the right leg just surrender to that, not pull too far, but just go as far as the weight. Your left leg is not pushing down, it's just resting there. So the natural weight of your left foot, the left leg, stretches out. And then once that's gone as far as it's going to go, the right inner knee pushes up into the sole of the left foot as the left foot does a little pushing. So not a heavy, hard pushing. And there go my ribs. So pull the bottom ribs down, side ribs back. Stretch the right arm straight overhead for a long, long side stretch. And release. Windshield wiper, or I like to stretch both legs long since they've been bent. Anything you want to do in between. And then bend your both knees, side B. Butterfly out the left, so the left knee falls out to the side just naturally. Then slide the left foot under the right leg, so it comes more towards the right side of the body. Where the right heel is depends on your knee. It can come up close to the outer, or where the left heel is, sorry, can come close to the right bum, or it can come farther away depending on what your knee joint wants. And then notice the tendency to rock all the weight to the left side. Try to balance it out by using the core, dropping the bottom ribs towards the hips, and then stretching from the core of the pelvis out through the left thigh towards the short edge of the mat, and the outer left knee yearns for the floor. For some people, this goes down to the floor quite easily, and other people it might be quite a ways away, but it's stretching in that direction in a good way. And then you can stay here. Any other variation, draw the right knee in, hold the top of the right shin, and then keep stretching through the core of the pelvis, down your left thigh, through the left kneecap. Stretch it out and down. as you push the right shin into your hands, and the hands pull back a little bit to slide your shoulder blades on your back. Head of the arm bones move towards the floor. So you're not straining in the shoulders with this. And push up with the right knee, the right shin into the hands. And then variation 2. The arms out in a T position. The sole of the right foot rests on the inner right knee, the inner thigh down by the knee, inner left knee, sorry. Da-da. And surrender to the weight. As far as it will go, let it stretch it. And then once it's gone as far as it's going to go, before you hear snap, crackle, pop, push the left inner knee up into the sole of the right foot, and the right foot pushes back. It's like the way you would press the palms of your hands together. One's not winning. They have to be an even press. Side ribs move to the floor, bottom ribs move towards the hips. And you can stretch the left arm straight overhead for a nice long twist. Stretch on the side body. And release. Windshield wiper the legs. Stretch them out, and then do any movements you want to prepare for final relaxation. Cover yourself up if you're cool. Support yourself, and that's where this little tea blanket is a really nice supportive support for final relaxation. Or if you want to lie flat on the floor, remove it. Take the moments you need to make yourself comfortable. begin to deepen your breath. And slowly bring gentle movement, stretching, yawning, any way that feels delicious. And then gradually roll to your side, resting there for a few moments. It's a kind of sweet surrender into this moment, here, this present, no matter what you have waiting for you after class. You surrender into this moment. It's a good practice to do for at least a few seconds every day. And rolling a little more towards the floor, use your arms to press up to a seated position. Sit well. Draw your palms together in front of the heart center. Namaste. Thank you guys.